Welcome back, all my fight fans. Today we're going to be counting down the top 10 KOs of 2025. These, for me, were the most spectacular, mind-blowing, and impressive KOs over the last year in the UFC. If you guys disagree with this list and you thought something else should have been on it, or you disagree with the ordering, let me know your list down below in the comments. Tell me what were your top 5, top 10, or top 15 KOs of 2025. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. And with that all out of the way, let's get into the list. Kicking us off at number 10, I have Reiner de Ridder knocking out Bo Nickel. Now, if you guys know me at all, I'm a huge fan of Bo Nickel. I've been watching him since his collegiate days. I was so excited when he came over to MMA, comes into the UFC, has an undefeated record going into this Reiner de Ridder fight. But I said going into that fight, I don't know about this one because Reiner de Ridder's a different animal. He came over from ONE FC where before coming over to the UFC, he only had 2 losses in his career, and they were to the same guy, Anatoly Malikin, who is a 3-division champion, a much bigger guy. So I was looking at that fight almost like 2 undefeated fighters matching up against each other, one with super elite jiu-jitsu, the other with super elite wrestling. But I knew de Ridder had the advantage when it came to striking, especially in the clinch. And that's exactly what happened in this fight. It got close in the first round, and Reiner de Ridder closed the gap and then started landing these beautiful knees, pulverizing the liver of Bo Nickel and shutting his lights out pretty quickly. So that was a very, very impressive performance. That, for me, is my number 10 knockout of the year. Next up at number 9, we have the savage knockout that Diego Lopes had over Jean Silva. This was a captivating fight right from the get-go. You have these 2 Brazilians. One of them leans a little towards the Mexican crowd in Diego Lopes. And you have these 2 Brazilians going in there who just love war. They love striking. They love putting their chin on the line. They love making fun fights. And boy, was this a fun fight. This fight will also appear on my top 10 fights of the year video because this was so much fun while it lasted. But you saw Jean Silva go in there looking for that spinning back elbow. And it was Diego Lopes who put Jean Silva in a catatonic state with his spinning elbow, caught him so cleanly. It was so violent, so vicious, just an absolutely ruthless way to end the fight, hitting the guy with the same technique that he was trying to hit you with the whole fight. I loved that finish. Even though I'm a bigger fan of Jean Silva, I love that guy on the mic. I love him outside of the cage. I was so happy to watch that fight play out. It was amazing. Absolute fireworks while it lasted, and that is my number 9 KO of the year. Next up at number 8, we have Reyes absolutely punishing Nikita Krylov with what can only be said as maybe the cleanest left hook of the entire year. I don't know. I don't know if there was a cleaner left hook all year. Maybe the Pereira Ankalaev knockout had a left hook in there that was a little bit more beautiful. But as far as one-shot clean hooks go, the Reyes knockout versus Krylov is up there. It's even up there for some of the all-time left hook KOs, I think. It was absolutely beautiful. He landed at spark right on his chin. Krylov went down and he was completely out. It was a beautiful knockout. Great for Reyes. Great to see him bounce back like that. That guy is an elite fighter. He's just had some rocky patches throughout his career, but hopefully we see big things from him in 2026, and that is my 8th best KO of 2025. Next up at number 7, I have the merciless KO of Pereira over Ankalaev. Now, as an Ankalaev fan, this one hurt a little bit. I thought that first fight between Pereira and Ankalaev was so damn impressive. I thought the way Ankalaev fought that fight was just so sharp, so pinpoint. But then coming into this fight, it was the complete opposite. It was the script flipped and reversed. Pereira goes out there and does what he does to so many people, which is just knock them out cleanly in the first round with just devastating striking, too much power for the other guy to handle. And that was what happened in this fight. It was just overwhelming. He walked Ankalaev down. Ankalaev could not find a way out, and he stalked him, knocked him out, ended this trilogy, I think. There could be a third fight. We could see the trilogy, but I think after that definitive of a second fight, I don't know if we're likely to see that fight ran back a third time. That was pretty impressive by Pereira. So shout out to him. Even though I'm a big Ankalaev fan, Pereira definitely got the better of that one by a lot. That was a devastating KO. I have that at number 7. At number 6, we have Jiri Prochazka obliterating Jamal Hill. This fight was... I was so happy that this fight went the way it did. I'm a huge fan of Jiri, as many of you guys are. He's so funny outside of the cage. On the mic, he's just a dime. And Hill, on the other hand, very unlikable. Not a very likable guy. The way he takes losses is a little bit cringy. The way he talks on the mic, the way he trash talks, very cringy, I think. And I was so happy to watch Jamal Hill get his teeth bashed in this fight. And this was an impressive knockout by Jerry Prohaska. And it's not the only time he makes my list. He's here at number 6, but he's also at number 5 with his knockout over Khalil Roundtree, which I think was even more impressive because it was a comeback. He was losing that fight for the majority of the fight. You can say maybe the first 3 rounds, at least the first 2, Khalil Roundtree was getting the better of Jerry. He was finding the better shots. He was cleaner with his striking. And then Jerry just does what Jerry does. He makes it a wild fight. He pulls things out of the fire. He makes things interesting. He causes chaos in there, and he thrives in chaos. And he got that knockout over Roundtree. I believe it was in the 4th round, and it was spectacular. What a performance by him coming back in that fight. That's another fight that you can expect to see in my top 10 fights of 2025 because that was electrifying. And at number 4, we have a KO that devastated a lot of fans out there, but for me, it was one of my favorite KOs of the entire year. It's, of course, Ilia Topuria knocking out Charles Oliveira. I know there's a lot of Charles Oliveira fans out there. He's one of the guys who has probably the most fans on the planet. I myself am not the biggest fan of Oliveira, so when I watched Ilia go out there and erase him from the planet, that was absolutely stunning. I thought that was a beautiful performance, the way that he tracked down that shot. He stayed in the pocket, he just waited for his moment, and when the moment came, he shut his lights out completely, and it was just such a clean combination. Another clean left hook, another beautiful left hook. I still think that Reyes one is the nicest of the whole year, but Ilia landed a beautiful one on Charles. Landed, I think, a right hook after that, and then just dropped him, and it was over. Just erased him in the first round. So very, very impressive performance by Oliveira. He just goes on to stack legendary names onto his win catalog, and he's going to be one of the greatest fighters of all time for sure. If he just keeps on this streak, if he fights Islam this year, even if he fights someone like Arman Sarukian this year, he's going to add even more names to his resume, and I don't see anybody stopping this guy anytime soon. Ilia Topuria is for sure one of my favorite fighters on the entire roster, and in 2025, he had my 4th favorite knockout. At number 3, we have Lerone Murphy absolutely vaporizing Aaron Pico. Now, coming into this fight, I knew Pico before. I'd watched him in Bellator. I was a big fan of him. I was telling all my friends, look out for this guy. He's going to come into the UFC and do big things. You're going to watch him knock out so many people. And then this fight takes place, and Lerone Murphy kind of, not really out of nowhere, this guy's on an insane streak. He's just so overlooked. But comes out and throws one of the most beautiful spinning back elbows. We got a lot in 2025, but one of the most beautiful spinning back elbows I've ever seen in my life, and just vaporizes Pico. Just knocks him out completely cold. Pico was lying face down for a while, and wow, what a performance. What a way to come out there and against a big favorite, a guy coming over from another organization, to wipe him out like that and to go, yeah, this guy ain't a prospect. I'm still here. That was a pretty badass moment. So that was one of my favorite moments out of the entire year. Just the way Murphy went in there stone cold and did that to a guy like Pico. Very, very impressive performance. I have that as my 3rd best KO of 2025. At number 2, I have a spinning back elbow that I found a little bit more impressive. Maybe there was less stakes on the line being the opponent that Prates beat. But when Prates spun on Jeff Neal and knocked him out with, I think it was 1 second left in the first round, and absolutely folded Jeff, it was just spectacular to watch. I remember telling my cousin, he doesn't watch UFC all that much, but when he does, he always comes to me for picks, and he goes, who should I bet on for this fight card? And I said, if there's one fight to bet on Prates round 1 KO. I love Jeff Neal. He's a nice guy, but he is not standing with Prates. This is going to be a first round KO. And as the round goes on, I'm going, ooh, I might have called this wrong. This might be a second round KO. And then with 1 second left, spins on him, just decapitates him, takes his head clean off with a beautiful spinning elbow. It was even cleaner than the Pico one, in my opinion. That's why it's a little bit higher, even though the stakes maybe weren't as much there. I feel like the Pico-Murphy fight probably had more stakes on it than this one, but man, the way Prates spun on him, it was so damn clean. I had to put that number 2. So that's my 2nd greatest knockout of 2025. And my number 1 knockout of the year was, of course, the most impressive knockout of the year. Maybe it didn't have the most on the line. Maybe it wasn't a title fight. Maybe it wasn't a comeback KO like Jerry had over Roundtree. But for me, technique-wise, this was the most impressive KO of the year by far. And it's, of course, Mauricio Rufy spinning around the entire planet, bringing that heel up and just terminating Bobby Green, shutting him out completely. That happened also at the very end of the first round, and that was a fight going into it. I was like, there's no way Bobby Green is standing with Mauricio Rufy. We've seen this guy in the UFC a few times already, and he might be the most electrifying of all the fighting nerds. It's hard to pick just one, but Rufy has got some insane power in his hands and feet. And if you're Bobby Green, if you're a guy who likes to box, who likes to get into the pocket, good luck closing the distance on a guy like Rufy. And that just showed in that fight, man. Rufy just kind of did whatever he wanted with him in the first round. And at the end, he set up a picture-perfect knockout. It was almost like when you're playing UFC 5 and maybe you're playing against the easy bot or somebody who really sucks at the game, and you're just setting up that one beautiful shot that you know is going to land, and it's really flashy and it shouldn't land on anybody else, but your opponent's so weak that you can kind of throw it. I feel like that's what happened here in this fight. Rufy just looked for one of the most beautiful shots he could possibly throw, throws his leg all the way around, and it was just such a clean wheel kick to the head. One of the cleanest since that Barboza one. That's still my favorite of all time. When Joe Rogan says, you got to risk getting knocked out, and then Barboza spins around and knocks that guy into rigor mortis. That's still my favorite, but this one's probably second. One of the most impressive head kick knockouts I've ever seen in my life. Watching that live was just spectacular. That was so much fun to watch. So those are my top 10 KOs of the year. I wish I could have shown the footage of all the KOs, but UFC is super stingy about showing clips from fights and stuff like that. So hopefully the pictures did for you guys enough, and hopefully next year maybe I can find some way to work around that and actually show the knockouts while I'm talking about them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys somewhat agree with my list. Like I said, if you guys disagree, let me know your guys' top 10 knockouts of 2025 down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, it means the absolute world to me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.